like the plumbers can do it just because it comes off of their potable water. Like, I think that, they don't get trained in the life safety part of it, for the state. You guys do your own plumbing thing. Let us do our own spring fitting thing.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. We have a special guest, our old friend, longtime listener, longtime, many-time guest, something like that. I don't know. First time, I don't know. I'm just babbling at this point. Chad, how you doing, man?
I like it.
Morning, Chad.
Morning.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Chad. We were just chatting off air, but I had to hit the record button because it's just getting too good. And let's bring everybody into the conversation real quick. We were just talking about residential sprinkler, fire sprinkler systems, and because of course there's been a couple systems out there for a while now. The two that I'm familiar with now. Don't get me wrong, there may be more, but Viga has one and Uponor has one. I think the more popular one in our area is Uponor. Rightly so, Uponor is right in our backyard.
Right.
They're headquartered right here in the Twin Cities. But Chad, you were talking about like licensing, certification on stuff like that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if the plumbers wanted to put in an Uponor system in a residential home, like a single family home, I don't think they have to have a fire sprinkler license from the state to do that because it's
they don't
the potable. So
I know that is fact. They do not,
which I don't agree with. I mean, that's what makes you have that license to install those systems. Just because it comes off the potable doesn't. I don't know. I just feel like it's.
But a fire sprinkler fitter, right? But a sprinkler fitter couldn't install that system because technically it's part of the potable water distribution.
Yeah.
So is that why you don't like it?
No, I like the system. I just don't like the fact that, we like the plumbers can do it just because it comes off of their potable water. Like, I think that, they don't get trained in the life safety part of it, for the state. You guys do your own plumbing thing. Let us do our own spring fitting thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I hear you. So who do we blame for this? Do we blame Uponor for engineering the system, or do we blame the government for not requiring some kind of further mandated certification or something like that?
So like how South Korea and North Korea have the demilitarizing zone there. That's
the DMZ.
How that is here. Yeah. It's like it's not spoken about too often. Like, just don't let us catch you doing it. And then they say, don't let us catch you doing it.
Yeah, but then the job gets done. I didn't do it. You didn't do it?
But someone has to get it. It has to get inspected. Right. So I don't know which license they're going to ask for.
Okay. I'm glad you said inspected.
They can ask for both license. They can ask for a plumbing license, or they're going to ask for the fire sprinkler fitter license. Which they never.
All right. I want to hear Andy's take on this. Andy, where are you at?
Well, I guess I can say in all the years of doing plumbing, right, and in our hall, we have not once ever had any conversation about training on fire suppression systems and how they function and like the physics of it, like we have in everything else. Now, granted, we're not out doing that work, right? Because I don't know,
because if you were doing it, you might have had the training.
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm fairly positive, and I don't know this. I just did a quick Google search, and I couldn't find it. Didn't pop up with the result I was looking for that says that it's required. But I am like 99% sure that in the state of Montana, residential commercial fire suppression is done by fire spring fitters, not plumbers, regardless of whether it's connected to the potable system or not. I don't think that Uponor system is allowed here. I don't think we use it. I don't think it's approved. And I think that probably goes back to possibly on the fire suppression side that they haven't approved it for use, those types of combination systems. That makes sense.
So this is where I was going. Chad, you brought up, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. Chad, you brought up it has to be inspected. Which license are they going to look for, kind of thing? But the key to that sentence was it has to be inspected, right?
Right.
And Andy, before we hit record, you were saying, and I'm not, this is don't worry, don't get nervous. You were saying I'll side with Chad on this because, it's a life safety thing and we're not certified and trained like you just said now. Right. But here's the deal. I'm the one going, well, hey, it's part of the potable water distribution. So you can't do it, Chad, because you're not a plumber. Right. Of course, we're going to fight for the licensing requirements for anything for water distribution as plumbers. Okay. And the building department's obviously made a statement on that. Like they're not going to let sprinkler fitters come in and run water lines for water, potable water. Okay. Right. How about this though? It's, to me, as a plumber, maybe you can convince me otherwise and tell me why I'm wrong. I'm open to that. It's a system that you get trained on and have to be certified for. We do know that. So we do know that if you're going to install this Uponor system, you have had to take their in-person certification course for this system. Yeah. That is a requirement.
Yep.
Okay. Now, can people just buy the stuff from their suppliers? I'm sure you can. But if you follow everybody's existing guidelines, you have to take their training and everything. And their training isn't to teach you how to be a sprinkler fitter. Their training is to teach you how this system is engineered and install it the way it was engineered. So to me, as a plumber, I don't feel like I need to know how far the heads have to be apart because there's an engineered design that says, put the head right here. Do I need to know why it has to go there? No, I just have to put it right there. And then when it's inspected, Chad, inspected, they have to look at the drawings and go, yep, put the head right there. There. Yeah, have we done anything that is outside of our capabilities and certifications at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I think there's so many faults to this. I think this is kind of where the argument happens sometimes.
Don't come at me like I don't think you should do it. Like
I know you shouldn't do it because when just you saying that alone tells me why you shouldn't do it. Where you're just like, we're just gonna put it in this room at this spot. First of all, you have to understand what that room is and the square footage and where you need to be from other sprinkler heads, right? So you don't cold solder or you don't get out of the range of the other heads.
Okay, but
you also need to know.
But this is an engineered drawing.
I've seen plenty.
That was approved by the state.
I think you have too. So I mean, whatever works on their little computer in their office doesn't always relate to what's happening on the job site itself. So
no, you're right there. Yeah. I'm not going to argue against that. I mean,
so
silly.
And then. Also, you have to recognize when you have, if there's a damaged head or if there's the small room rule, there's all these different things that you have to look at as a spring fitter for your codes.
I bet you they've thought a lot about this kind of stuff though in their training at Uponor.
I would agree.
They might have. I don't know. I mean, they could just be throwing out like Dixie cups with spring heads in them. I have no idea. So.
I'm sure that's like a wrapped up T-shirt, in like the T-shirt gun. Here's your sprinkler fitter license.
And they need to Oprah up in the front of the class and you get a certification.
So
and you get a certification. Right? And then they get to Chad and like, not you.
Yeah, mine was a T-shirt gun shot one.
Well, the funny thing about sorry, go ahead, Andy.
I was gonna say I think that Eric, you're right that the Uponor stuff, the Viga, I mean, their trainings on every aspect of everything they do is top notch, right?
Yeah, it's comprehensive.
I mean, are they all inclusive in being able to create a design? Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it comes down to my reluctance to it is that you can take a class like that, you can go get certified. Let's say it's a 16-hour course, right?
Sure.
Okay. So you go get certified to do this stuff. I mean, it's not any different than going and putting like RLS fittings in or, what's the other one? Now I'm drawing a complete blank on the other refrigeration fitting. There's a lot of things that we all do where
they require some sort of certification.
Gas tight, for instance, CSST pipe, gas piping. And those are all, certifications that rely on the fact that you have prior knowledge to the piping systems involved. And not that we wouldn't, as plumbers, know that, this fire sprinkler line, we're going to run our water lines, here and, whatever. But I think in my mind, I think that you don't, I think you leave yourself open for liability. And I think that, yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts on them.
I'll tell you a funny thing. Back in the day when they were doing the open OR systems, I got a call from a friend who was a plumber. He was asking me, how do I get the head to, because I'm talking about placement of head through the ceilings, he's like, how do I get the head to straighten out, or it's too far down from the sheetrock? And I go, well, it's like a concealed head or something. He goes, I go, well, what did you do? He goes, I took a hammer to it to try to hammer it up into the ceiling. And I was like, and I said,
okay,
that's
Chad,
exactly what we would have done.
That's funny you say that, because I've seen sprinkler fitters on commercial jobs do some pretty weird stuff too.
Yeah.
But were they working,
questionable,
or was it just their own time?
Yeah. Okay, I will stand on this as the devil's advocate in this three-way conversation, because I'm not going to pick a side. I'm not going to tell you how I really. I'm just playing that role.
Yeah.
It does come down to certification. So if the state of Minnesota has said, Uponor, your system can be installed in residential buildings in Minnesota, and it has to be installed by a plumber who is licensed, or an apprentice who is overseen by a licensed plumber, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And as long as they follow your guidelines and we inspect it and they've met those guidelines, then it's legal. Like you don't have to agree with government or anything like that,
right?
But you have to trust the process, because that's the process we have.
Yeah.
And so we do that with everything. Like, Chad, we don't go as plumbers install your fire sprinkler system because the process says that we can't. And in this case, you can't disagree. Like, you don't have to like it. You can't disagree that this process says, the state says you can install these systems. Here are the qualifications for it. Yeah. And then if you install it right. So here's the deal. Yeah. Let me remind you this. Yeah. You can install a plumbing system as a plumber completely wrong. You can screw all of that up. Okay. Just as you could screw all of this up, right?
Right.
Like there's everybody's going to screw there's chance for everything to be screwed up.
Yeah.
But the process is, certified, it's approved, all this kind of stuff. So that's how I'm standing on it. You don't have to like it, is what I'm saying.
I'm going to
take, let me bring up one more thing. Everybody's supposed to have a driver's license, right? In order to get that driver's license, you had to take a course. You had to take a training course, and then you had to prove that you were capable of competent of driving, and then tell me that when you drive to work tomorrow,
right?
Yeah. When you're commuting in the morning, tell me that with 100% certainty, everybody around you is on an equal playing field with skill level and execution of driving of freaking.
I'm gonna stay out of that one.
A bullet that will kill a bomb. These things people are driving 90 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
You want to hear just a offshoot from that story? I was down in Austin in November for, I was visiting my cousin for Thanksgiving. We were downtown Austin, and there are these cars, and I thought it was the Google or the Google cars that would take pictures
the
of the
Waymo or whatever.
No, man. There's like a whole bunch of these cars that are just unmanned driving through the city.
Yeah, Waymo.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and they're like, I'm like, look, there's nobody in them, and it's insane. I was like, no way.
I've been in. We used one.
You cannot give me one of those
Vegas.
cars and be like, keep your hands off the wheel. And hell no,
don't touch.
It's not the robot I'm worried about. It's everybody around that robot is what I'm worried about.
It's surprising, like it is weird, and everybody for the first time has the same exact and you get
right.
Like, I'm in a car, nobody's driving.
It's so Epcot Disney dream, right. And it's happening, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. They're gonna become. There are already thousands of these things throughout the country, and they're gonna become commonplace. And their biggest hurdle right now is people know that that's what that car is because of all the devices attached to the outside, and they got to get rid of that.
And
as soon as they get rid of that stuff on the outside, then people won't even know that it is what it is. Like, are you ever really paying attention to the person in the vehicle around? You know what I mean? Like, there's just a vehicle. You're not really. You know what I mean?
Trying to look at them
no, but as a whole, how many thousands of cars do you pass in a day? You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna. And so if they could get rid of that crap on the outside of the vehicle, that's why they've done it. Like there's freight line, there's 18 wheelers, semi trucks.
Yeah, that's insane. That's absolutely
that
insane.
are
large.
They're drones, or what do they call them? Those like,
I can't remember.
Self-driving. I don't know what they are, but
I do. A lot of people do despise those cars down there, I guess, because when they break down, they'll just break down in the middle of the road.
When they can't make a decision, they're stuck.
Right. And it creates so much traffic. So it's in a testing phase right now. So no one's actually in these vehicles ever, but they have teams that will come out and fix them or whatever. But they tend to break down like at the worst times, and then it creates like mass traffic problems, I guess. So people end up hating them.
Yep. We did one. I think it was, I don't remember what city it was, to be honest with you.
It might have been Austin, right? Where you guys were in Austin. Weren't you in Austin doing the build show? So
I do Austin quite a few times in a year, but not. I wasn't in it there. I can tell you for sure. I just don't remember what city it was. I'm thinking
California
it was Vegas.
does it too. I think where you can actually be in it.
Phoenix. I think Phoenix is
maybe it was Phoenix
or something.
So let me just put this out there just really quick about it, because my ADHD is now flying about this whole thing. A fleet vehicles for these things, right? So you basically pick up your guy, he has all the tools and everything. You just, like a bus, you just drive to the job site, it's there, and then it drops him off, and it goes right back to the house to be loaded up with the materials and stuff for the next day, and it takes care of. So the guy has a truck now. He has a work truck that he doesn't even drive, so he can't get in an accident, right? So he can't take off, he can't leave. You don't need to track him with GPS because he's not leaving the job site, because the vehicle's not checking out or whatever.
Crew transport
permission from the home base, right? But also you can guarantee the pickup, right, and then the drop off. Plus, you can guarantee the materials getting there on time and everything. You can track it all. I
can tell you that would be a certain Facebook group of business owners that use a specific type of managing software that would be all over this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. You could.
I didn't even ever thought about that, Chad. That's amazing.
Love it. Yeah. Some office guy would love to track that the whole day and just make his job so important.
But you think about it, about like routing.
Yeah.
I don't live in a big city area, right? I mean, Missoula's whatever. It takes us 10 minutes to get across town. It's not like where, Minneapolis, if you were deciding you were going to go from whatever, downtown Minneapolis to downtown St. Paul, right? Well, I've done that with Eric a couple of times. I mean, depending on traffic or the route you pick. Yeah. I mean, it looks close on the map, but it's not quite.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's farther than you driving across town without traffic and
definitely. Yeah, but if you think about, like, let's say you had jobs in between the cities, right, that were back and forth. If you were out doing service calls, how sweet would that be that you didn't have to figure out, like, hey, my driver can be working on an estimate or working on whatever, my technician, while the car is taking him to the next job in an efficient route.
This is called milking every bit of productivity out of your employee.
I bet they've already talked about it.
But
we're just
I mean,
no way they haven't.
Half of these guys are already doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, probably.
Well, I'm never looking at my phone while I'm driving my $12,000 or 12,000-pound van. I'm not.
No,
I've never caught you
at 80 miles an hour looking up part numbers. I don't.
Why would I be invoicing somebody while I'm driving down the interstate? That sounds silly.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I don't even have the House Call Pro app on my phone because of that.
Yeah. I put it on my iPad so it's bigger,
so I can do it in traffic.
That's right.
That's a really interesting, like, Chad, that honestly what you just said, like, what gets, like you said, you brought up my ADHD. That's what gets my ADHD going about this. This subject is just fascinating to me. Like the whole electric vehicle thing.
That's where we're going, though. That's it. I think that's exactly where things are going, in that direction. It's going to be just more automated, where, I think it's more just the supervisory things that are going to be happening. And then the manual labor part is just, eventually just dropping a guy off, bringing him back, you know.
Yeah.
I had
Don't
to
forget
figure
your
out
tool
what you were
bucket.
saying when you brought it
Yeah.
up, because it's like it doesn't. Then
Does
the
the van
vehicle
blow
goes back
kisses
to
when the guy gets out?
The vehicle
What's
can
that?
do whatever it
Does
wants.
the
It can
van-
stay at that it
does
can
it-
stay at that job site, you know, but it at a certain time, maybe you punch
No,
in
it goes
a
back
code,
to the warehouse, charges up, and
right.
But-
And you're punching in, you're punching out is probably in that vehicle. When it leaves the job site, that's when it punches you out of that job, you know, and
Yeah.
it brings you home.
that's a whole other. I
Yeah.
can't believe that
Yeah.
our systems aren't utilizing like cell phone tracking for like time card
Well, they do.
like that.
So there are companies in our union that have that where they. I don't even think it's actually.
I'm not talking about logging in and clocking yourself in manually. I'm talking
Oh.
about
Like
I'm talking
GPS,
about
yeah.
perimeter fence. What's that called?
Yeah,
Geo
yeah,
fence.
yeah. Oh,
What is that?
actually,
Geolocation.
yes. We do. So we do a third party fire sprinkling life safety stuff for a company out of Georgia, and they monitor different businesses and stuff for their say daycare a daycare chain in our state uses them. And so when they have a call, a service call or anything that happens in the middle of the night, I cannot check into that job
Yep.
with my phone. It won't allow me to because it checks the GPS on my phone. Unless I'm within 2 miles of that job or less, it will not allow me to check in during that service call. Then,
Yeah, I suppose it's already
it's not
up
when
there.
I get out the door. I'm getting paid. So I have to get out the door, go to the job, get within 2 miles. Then I need to get on that phone while I'm driving to punch in, right?
Yeah,
because I want to get
obviously.
paid, right? I want to get paid. So
Yeah.
they use that perimeter fence. And then if you leave, like if it was a longer job, like say an 8-hour job, you leave to go to get something to eat, or if you even go to get something like for parts, right? It will check you out. It will not. It will stop. It'll notice it and it'll check you out, and then you have to check back in.
Yeah.
So it's already happening.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. I'm just not
Yeah.
using it, so it just that makes
we've-
total sense. Absolutely.
We've had software. It's called Corrigo.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of strip mall, like rental property, retail property space, grocery stores and stuff, whatnot use it. And so you get your dispatch through that, and it's real similar to that. Like where when you call in, it's like, are you actually here? You need to make sure you turn on your location services,
Right. Yeah.
and then you can
It's
go
just babysitting.
like,
It's ridiculous because I mean I get it that people abuse going off and stuff or whatever, but at the same time it's just such a pain in the ass because you're like logging in, logging out. I don't have time to make every mark of my tracking for that job. I just want to go get my stuff, get it in, go out, get whatever I need, go get my break, go to the gas station, get a drink or something, and come back, whatever.
We have to do all our invoicing online, and anytime that like my guys, let's say they forgot to sign out of the job or the phone system didn't work when they were leaving, that's the common one. You call and it's like, oh, all systems are busy, and they're like, all right, and I'm just like bail out, and so then I have to go on the desktop and go on and look back and then say, okay, on this date it was this, and then it'll pop it up on my desktop and say, well, you're clearly not within the proper range to check out of this job, and you got to put in an exception and a note, and then you just submit whatever you need. But I don't know. I say it's a pain, but it's actually super easy because it's all done online, and then you can.
It's
track
a condition of your contract, or as an employee, it's conditional. Like,
it's super easy on the invoicing side though, because you go online, you create the invoice, you submit it, and you can see who's looked at it. Like, oh, the manager got it, their payroll or their payables got it, blah blah blah, and then here's my check.
Wow.
So it's easy to use.
But full circle.
But Chad just wants to go take a dump at Quick Trip and pick up a box of Glazers.
That's right.
Well, these Hy-Vee stores now are even amazing now. So
I know Hy-Vee and
Culver's has got private bathrooms too now. Did you see that?
Yeah, that whole hallway
nice.
now how they built that's nice, isn't it?
We are all over the place this morning.
Really?
Well, we're gonna end it there. Stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna have another episode with Chad coming out. I'm just warning you right now. So if you didn't get enough of them today, there's more in the next episode. There's gonna be a big
one guy who has enough
fun story.
Yeah.
Before I sign off, everybody, thanks for listening and watching. If you're listening to this, don't forget we do this podcast. It gets put out in video form on the Mechanical Hub YouTube channel. And Andy, what is the email address if somebody wants to email us?
That is maketradesgreatagain@gmail.com.
There you go. MakeTradesGreatAgain@gmail.com. And if you're streaming this on an audio podcast app thing, whatever, there is a little link in the notes below the show, like the show description. You can text us. And in that text, use it however you want. Be cool, you know. Tell us what you thought was good, what you didn't think was good, whatever. And if you find it in your heart, give us a rating on your podcast app. We'd love for that because that helps other people find us and helps us out. So, all right, guys. We are recording this on New Year's Day. Not that anybody cares because they're not going to listen to this until at least a week or two later. But Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year's.